Tonight, let's travel back in time, not to kings and wars, not to dramatic battles, but to something far more mysterious: sleep. Specifically, how people in medieval times actually slept. And trust me, it was much stranger than you think. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's step quietly into the medieval night. If you live in the US or UK today, you probably aim for one thing: 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. But medieval people? They didn't even know what that meant. In fact, they didn't sleep once per night. They slept twice. It was completely normal in medieval England and across Europe to have what historians call segmented sleep. They would go to bed shortly after sunset, sometimes as early as 8 p.m. That was called the first sleep. They would sleep for about 3 to 4 hours. Then something unusual happened. They would wake up, not for a few seconds. Not to check their phone, of course there were no phones. They would wake up for 1 to 2 full hours. Wide awake. And this wasn't insomnia. This was normal. During this quiet midnight period, people would pray, read, talk, reflect, or even visit neighbors. Yes, imagine knocking on your neighbor's door at 1 a.m., and they'd be awake too. After this peaceful waking period, they would return to bed for their second sleep until sunrise, and no one thought this was strange. It was simply human rhythm. Some sleep historians believe our bodies may actually be wired this way, and that modern artificial lighting forced us into a single block of sleep. Interesting, isn't it? Now let's talk about something even stranger: privacy, or rather, the lack of it. In medieval times, most homes were small, very small. Entire families often slept in the same room, sometimes in the same bed. And beds were valuable, very valuable. A well-made bed with a straw or feather mattress was a sign of wealth. Many poor families slept on piles of hay or simple wooden benches. And here's something even more surprising: travelers. If someone visited your home, they might sleep in your bed with you. Bed sharing was completely normal. Strangers, family members, children, servants, all in one bed. It wasn't considered awkward. It was practical. Beds were warm, and warmth was survival, especially in cold English winters. In medieval homes, the fireplace was everything. It provided heat, light, and a place to cook. But here's the thing: they rarely let the fire go completely out overnight. Instead, they would carefully cover the embers with ash to keep them alive until morning. Because restarting a fire from scratch was difficult. Matches didn't exist the way we know them. So imagine falling asleep with a faint glow in the corner of the room, the quiet crackle of dying embers, the smell of smoke lingering in wooden walls. That was the soundtrack of medieval sleep. How did they wake up? No alarm clocks, no iPhones, no digital watches. Most people relied on nature: the rising sun, the crowing of roosters, church bells. In villages across England, church bells marked time for the community. Morning prayers, work hours, even curfew. Your entire sleep schedule was connected to daylight. In winter, long nights meant longer sleep. In summer, sunrise came early, and so did your day. Life followed the sun, completely. Now you might think kings and queens had perfect sleep: luxurious beds, silk sheets, peace and quiet. Not exactly. Take medieval royalty in England. Royal bedrooms were often semi-public spaces. Servants slept nearby. Guards stood watch. Court members could enter for business. Even childbirth happened in crowded royal chambers. The idea of a private, silent bedroom, that's modern. Back then, sleep was social, even for kings. Imagine medieval England at night. No cars, no planes, no city hum. Instead, wind through wooden shutters, rain hitting thatched roofs, distant dogs barking, occasionally horses passing through muddy streets, and sometimes absolute silence. A silence so deep that modern humans rarely experience it. For many people, darkness itself was unsettling. Without streetlights, the night was truly black, thick, heavy, unknown. Stories of spirits and strange creatures often grew from these dark, quiet hours. When your only light is a candle, your imagination becomes powerful. Medieval beds were not like ours. They were often shorter, not because people were dramatically shorter, but because many people slept sitting slightly upright. Strange, right? Some believed lying completely flat resembled death, and death was everywhere. Plagues, disease,